What up guys, it is Saturday, which means tomorrow we're going back to locals. Today I'm going to be deck testing between two decks which I'm not sure which one I want to play this week. The first being a complete and utter monster mashup of invoked, kashtira, fiendsmith, Azamina Blue Eyes. Say that 3 times fast. And the other is my Orchist Horus fiendsmith list. Both of which are fun. Both of which die miserably to Droll and Knockbird. So, same weakness, different flavour. So I'm going to be deck testing them both today against Corey and his Sword Soul list, just to see which one we're feeling more confident and comfortable with. So, it's going to be fun either way. But, let's cover last week. So last week we did not make a video. Nothing went online, nothing got posted. Now there are reasons for that. The reason is purely and simply I did not attend locals. I had Isaac over, we did some deck testing, we did some gameplay, I even recorded some gameplay. However, I wasn't happy with any of the quantity or quality of what I filmed. The gameplays between myself and Isaac were all very one-sided. It was either he very quickly 2-0'd me, or I very quickly 2-0'd him, neither of which made for good viewing nor educational purposes. So as such, I chose not to post anything. I decided to take the week off, not deal with the stress of trying to post. So I would say let's recap the week before, but again, I didn't go to locals. But there was a video where I played with Corey and we built our trade folder. And honestly, there's a reason why I haven't been going to locals. Let's get into it. So, locals. I haven't been going recently because honestly, I haven't been enjoying the game state. I felt this format has been incredibly stale. Not necessarily boring or bad or anything along those lines, just very stale. Our locals has a combination of some competitive players, but also quite a lot of casual players. And it's hard to deck build for that, because you build for the format and then you just get wiped by like 2-3 rogue decks in a row. You build to kind of counter the majority of decks and then you get paired up against Blue Eyes Primite or Mark on his Malice build or something along those lines and just get dick slapped because you're not prepared. As such, it kind of leaves you in just this predicament of really loving the game as a whole and the collecting and vendoring and all that part of it, but the actual paying money to go and play, not so much. Not when you live like a 40-minute drive each way from your local GameStop as well. So it's a long old day just to get there and back. And then the pricing's gone up in the game shop and whatnot. It's not been the best setting recently. But we've had the ban list drop. Certain decks have been hit, other decks have been boosted. Shifter is down to 1, which makes Orchest a lot better. However, we still need to watch out for Artifact Lancia, because now our stuff's going to the grave, we need to be able to manage it on our own terms, and Lancia just tells us no with that, so we've got to be careful there. So it is swings and roundabouts, it is difficult, and I'm sure every person in the world who plays a competitive game gets like this at some point, but I'm adamant to go back to locals. Stampede's just dropped. We've got some post, and from the ban list, as you guys know, I absolutely love Mathmech. Circular is back, so now I just need to pick up the Link 5 Neo Tempest Hertz, whatever the hell that card was called again, because I sold mine when it went up in popularity with Malice, because I thought there's no way in hell Circular's ever going back. So I need to pick one of them up when I get paid next week. So you won't see Mathmech this week, you won't see it next week, but the week after you can see Mathmech. So that's something to look forward to. But with all that in mind, I've got some decks to build, I've got some testing to do, But first, we've got some post. So after a full day of testing, what better way to spend the evening than playing a nice family board game with my wife and my two older kids, Corey and Lily. Lily's a bit camera shy, but we definitely enjoyed ourselves. as you just saw there, game 1 against Devon, I really kind of fumbled the ball. I felt like I was in quite a strong position when that Ash Blossom went down to stop the fiendsmith play, and then I was able to obviously clear the board and get some good damage off. I think I left him on 2300, and then on his turn he took another 1000. But the memento that he built on his turn was just too great for the interruptions I had, and he steamrolled it. Is what it is. Could I have played that better based on the cards I had? I'm not sure. I don't think I could. I've definitely ashed at the right point, in my opinion. The fiendsmith line's definitely a lot more of a threat than kashtira birth. That being said, it's quite nice and interesting to see like a fiendsmith control deck with kashtira cards in there just to help out. So definitely interesting deck list for sure. And as you can imagine, game 2, Devon just steamrolled me. So we lost that 2-0, and we lost it pretty quick. Moving into round 2, this person didn't want to be filmed. Absolutely fine. I've said it time and time again, my opponent's comfortability is far more important than any video ever will be. So absolutely no issue at all. I actually filmed a feature match with Corey instead, which as long as I get the time to do so, I will obviously go over, document, voiceover, and put up as a separate video, where he was on his new Sword Soul list against Aaron on Raziel. So that's certainly an interesting game to watch. But as such, I did ask my opponent if they would mind if I said their name, so I'm not going to say their name either. So it would just be my opponent for this one. They were on Fluffles, which is a really fun deck. I absolutely love Fluffles. My only experience with them though is in Duel Links, and obviously they are missing quite a large amount of the Fluffle cards. So I knew what some did, but not all. My opponent was really lovely though, gave me all the time I needed to read the cards and just to learn them basically. Game 1 was a very back and forth game. They won the dice roll. They allowed me to go first, which, okay. That kind of put me on the back foot straight away, but when I realised it was Fluffles, it was like, okay, they're obviously going for like a Guardian Chimera or the Fluffle Killer Whale pop thing to try and clear my board and then set theirs up, or go for the Fluffle Tiger, like OTK line. Same, one of those things anyway. But yeah, so the first game was actually really back and forth. I had a set imperm in the middle column. My opponent, bless him, was playing, activated the poly in the middle column. They had 2 face-up monsters on the field, and I impermed one of the monsters, which then negated the poly. That's cool with me. And then they played another card in the imperm column, which essentially cost them the game. They needed one of those 2 cards to resolve, but unfortunately it just didn't happen. And we've all been there, like no shame in that at all. We've all 100% played a card in the imperm column. I do it, I find it funny. When my opponents do it, I always feel bad for them, but I always find it funny when I do it. Because we were talking about it literally earlier. I was talking about people playing in the imperm column with Ren, and then my opponent did it, and then Ren actually did it himself in his game. So that was just a nice little bit of irony there, or coincidence, whichever's the right word. But yeah, so game 2, they won the dice roll. They chose to go first. And I'm assuming they bricked really hard because they literally set a monster and passed. We had full combo. I'm talking full kashtira, full Azamina, full fiendsmith. We cleared the board with ease. They had no hand traps either. And we built a board and OTK'd them. So that was our game 2. Game 3, I did film, but honestly, there was nothing worth putting up. So I do apologise that all of this is just kind of back to back and it's not the most entertaining. I will try and put some music in the background. Maybe that might make it a bit better. But yeah, game 3 I actually got paired against Aaron. At this point, he was 1-1. I was 1-1, so it made sense. I knew he was on Raziel because obviously he played my son in the round before. So, game 1, I made a boo-boo, which cost me the game. My boo-boo is that I cannot tell the difference between spell cards and monster cards. I tried to play, I summoned Witch, which got impermed or veiled, something along those lines. I summoned Alistair got met with the Ash, and I was like, cool. So I put them both into Moon, the Moon into Requiem. At this point, I discarded fiendsmith and Graver to search for the Tract. I activated Tract to get the Lorry, ditched the Lorry. Lorry spec'd itself back as well. That's where the other body came from. And yeah, so I just had Requiem on my side of the field. Not Requiem, Sequence on my side of the field. Yeah, because it was the Requiem, sorry, that got ashed. Not the Alistair. The Alistair wasn't there. So yeah, it was literally which got impermed or veiled. Then did the discard the fiendsmith and Graver for Tract had Lorry. Lorry spec back, went into Requiem, activate the effect, got ashed. So I brought back the Engraver, shuffling back the Lorry, because in my mind I was like, cool, I've got 3 Light Fiends engraved. Went into the sequence, went to use the fusion effect, looked at my grave, I've got Fiendsmith Engraver, I've got Requiem, and I've got Fiendsmith Tract, which is a spell card, not a monster, and I had no other Light Fiends in my grave. So I had to pass on a 1200 body, which could do nothing. So Aaron took game 1. And he didn't see a single Raziel card either. He literally just Fiendsmith beat me down game 1. Game 2, I went first. Aaron again stopped me from building a board, but then funny enough, he made the same mistake I did with the sequence. So I think I got into his head, and he did the exact same mistake. However, he had the other bits on board and went full Raziel combo detonator. I was able to out the detonator, but then he just brought it back with the Eclipse Twins and then just punched me and killed me. So, game 3, there was nothing other than seeing 2 Roman misplay because they can't count to 3. There was literally nothing of value in that video, and that's nothing against Aaron's gameplay. It's just at this point, everyone knows what Raziel does inside out. So I didn't see a point of uploading like a 20-minute clip to extend this video longer than it needed to be. Round 4. I'm going to show you some of round 4. So here is some round 4 where I was playing against Wally on his RDA Centurion deck, and we'll discuss the rest after. So there you go, you just saw Wally take game 1 of our set, and we were able to reverse sweep, which is always good. We took game 2 and game 3. Game 2, obviously I went first, I set up my board, I had quite a few negates on board, it was pretty solid, and I just stopped Wally from being able to play and push through. And then game 3 is where I realised something which I really don't like, and what I realised actually quite a lot was going on. And I really loved playing against Wally, because he and Corey were the only 2 people I didn't see do this, and my game 2 opponent, who obviously I won't mention. But everyone else, at least what I saw, so if you're watching this and this wasn't you, I apologise. But including myself, because Engraver is now so cheap, and most people already had Tract and Lacrima from the initial wave, before the massive price spike and whatnot, everyone is running a heavy fiendsmith package. And again, I've never had an issue with fiendsmith. I've never thought it's oppressive or it's degenerate. I do not like DD High Wave King Caesar. I believe he is the issue. I have said that from when the Red Dog in Unchained got banned initially during the U-Bell format. The Red Dog wasn't the issue. High Wave King Caesar was the issue. And I still stick to that now. However, having multiple engravers is great for consistency. But also what I have found I was able to do was I kept being able to link off my Desiree to trigger the Desiree effect to shuffle back the sequence, and then send a card to my opponent's grave, and then use the engraver to shuffle the Desiree back to spec itself, and then on my next turn, rinse and repeat. Every single turn I was able to negate cards and then Desiree send, and that's not what my deck was supposed to be built for. My deck was supposed to be mainly an Alistair deck, and all these other engines are there to kind of subsidise and help, like, do the invoked combos. I did not do a single invoke combo all day until round 5. So 4 rounds, my deck was fiendsmith with these other bits in, and that's not how this deck was built. And I was noticing a lot of my opponents were the same, so maybe fiendsmith should have got hit somewhere on the ban list, I don't know, but just my thoughts and views on that. But yeah, so I was able to do that fiendsmith loop on Wally a couple of times. Every time he set up a negate, like his RDA on the negate thing, the level 9, I was able to negate it, bait it out somehow with something else and negate it, and then just shuffle and then send it to the grave. It was absolutely disgusting. I didn't enjoy playing that way. So, you know, Wally, if you watch this, sorry. This was supposed to be a fun deck, not just some filthy fiendsmith shit. So I do apologise. But it did take us the game, and therefore the match, we took that 2-1. Making us on a 2-2 record moving into the last round of the day. And Corey was also 2-2, so I was really hoping I got paired up against Corey. Now, the reason why I was hoping that is because in testing, he beat me 80% of the time. So I really wanted to get some revenge, especially at locals, and take that 3-2 off him. However, I got paired against Josh on Dynamorphia. I hate Dynamorphia. I'm sorry. Again, I don't have any gameplay footage of this. I really wanted to show it as well because of how fucking disgusting some of those cards are. But my camera kept slipping so that it kept going like that sort of angle, and that was pissing me off, and I didn't want that played something like that. So game 1, Dynamorphia did what Dynamorphia did, just shut me down, locked me out. Game 2, we took it with the invoked combo of Mechabur and Kaluga, along with the Azamina Sylvia. So I had 2 negates, I had an Ash in hand, and we both could only activate 1 monster effect and attack with 1 monster. So he really couldn't do anything, even with a trap-based deck. That lock kind of just shut him out. Game 3. I don't know the exact name of this card, but Dynamorphic Wrexham. Looks like a robotic TX. That card is fucking disgusting. I'm sorry. The whole Dynamorphia deck, I think, is quite fair, quite balanced. Apart from that one fusion monster. And it's not just because I lost to it. I've always felt this way. It's just that it's never really been an issue against me until this week. Having one fusion monster, which literally reads, your opponent cannot activate monster effects whose attack points are equal to or less than your life points. And bear in mind, to get this fucker out, you paid your life points down to at least 2,000, if not lower. And also, when your opponent declares an attack, quick effect, make all your opponent's monsters' attack equal to your life points. And you can't do anything unless you draw an imperm. It was fucking disgusting. And I really didn't like it. We got down to about 4 minutes on time. I could have played for time, but that's not me. I knew I was going to lose that, so I just fucking played it as quick as I can just to get it over with, because I think people who stall and play for time are just filthy. I don't like people who do that. But so I wasn't going to do that. But yeah, so that ended me on a 2-3 record. You've had my thoughts on Fiendsmith and on Dynamorphia. As a whole, this deck was fun. I didn't really get to show off what I wanted to show off with it, but at the same point, it's not going to. Our locals is always very random because we have a handful of meta decks and then a lot of rogue, and it's very, very hard to build for both, as I've always said. So I don't know what deck I'm going to take this weekend. Not sure, but I'm going to do some testing. I'm going to find out what I want to do for this coming weekend, because we get paid this week. So hopefully I can pick up the Mathmech cards I'm missing. But now, after seeing that new access code monster in Duelist Insight, I might hold off on Mathmech until I get that. I haven't seen any other Cyber stuff, just that one. So I'm really intrigued to see what that could do for the Mathmech build. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this week's vlog episode. I'm sorry it's not been as energetic or as shiny as other episodes, but it is half term. We've got lots of kids. I'm getting up early just to do these filmings. I'm very tired, but peace out. See you next week.